Good guy, that Mike Garafolo. It's always a great morning when you get started chatting with this guy, the NFL Network's Mike Garafolo. Mike, Aaron, here's the good news, Mike. Last year at this time, after week one, we had a conversation. We were pretty upset for Jets fans because they were heartbroken. Aaron Rodgers had torn his Achilles 4 plays in. Season was basically over. The good news is Aaron Rodgers, after one game, is healthy. The bad news is it seems like the 49ers might have proven, Mike, that the Jets are maybe a little further away from contending than perhaps we thought.
I didn't expect them to win that game, to be honest with you. What I see from the Jets this year, and I think this is going to continue, and my opinion really didn't change greatly off of that game that I watched there on Monday night, is that this season's going to be a lot of this, up and down. I've got them coming in 9 wins, maybe 10 wins, a wild card team, but a dangerous wild card team, because I think you're seeing an incomplete product, a quarterback coming off an Achilles, who didn't play in the preseason, which I thought was a bit of a mistake. Jets probably should have played their guys more in the preseason, but Robert Saleh decided not to do that. Going up against the defending NFC champions, who, despite all the stuff that's going on with them, including Christian McCaffrey, who we'll get to in a couple of minutes here, are a complete team, and were able to hit the ground running literally. I think that's the most disappointing part, is the Jets were beat up on both sides of the line on Monday night. They're supposed to be strong in both of those areas, but I saw some flashes there from Aaron Rodgers, and the Jets did as well. And there's reason to look at the schedule over the next 3-4 weeks and say, who's to say this team can't be 3-2, 4-1, or shouldn't be 3-2, 4-1? And all of a sudden, it's like, okay, they had that hiccup early, and Rodgers said something to the effect of, I hope we see the Niners again. I still think the Jets are in the mix. I believe they're going to be a dangerous wild card team that you're not going to want to see because of Rodgers and because of a really good defense. But there's going to be some peaks and valleys between then and now. But Jets fans are very level-headed. The emotions, they like to keep them in check. So I'm sure that they're going to handle all these ups and downs as well as they handle them. Oh, wait, no. I was getting texts about how great the season was going to be, and then I got same old Jets, this defense stinks, I'm going to bed, nothing's ever going to change. These were the texts that were eventually rolling in the third quarter.
I mean, it could be worse. You could be a Giants fan, but that's a whole other thing to deal with right now. You were in Atlanta over the weekend. You got to see the Steelers beat the Falcons, or I should say the Steelers field goal kicker beat the Falcons. Justin Fields got the start because Russell Wilson is battling that calf injury. And it looks like he might even get the start in week 2, Justin Fields might. And I guess my question for you, Mike, is, we saw Justin Fields really improve his play at the end of last season with the Bears. He looked okay in week 1. Is there a chance that if Pittsburgh keeps winning, Fields just has that job and does not relinquish it to Russell Wilson?
Yeah, I believe so. And I know that I say that because I know that the decision to go with Russell Wilson was probably closer than maybe some folks realized, because Mike Tomlin said Russell Wilson was in the pole position and he wound up winning. Well, in between there, and the calf injury contributed to this, were some flashes from Justin Fields and some folks saying, you know what, there's more upside here with Fields at this point in his career than there is with Russell Wilson. I understand why Mike Tomlin made the decision that he did. It's because Wilson was more of the safer play and a guy who had accomplished more over the course of his career. But a lot of times in the NFL, you can't win that way. So the thought was, if we get Fields out there and we build up his confidence and we tailor our game plan and our offensive system to what he's comfortable doing, which I thought they did a really good job of the other day, a lot of those bootlegs and some simplified reads for him to make sure that he doesn't have to sit there and go through 5 progressions, just limit them to 2, and if it's not there, use your legs to help you a little bit. You're going to see more of that in this game against Denver. Now, they're also going to have a full week to game plan around him, although what they had last week, they were planning to use him in a package of plays along with Russell Wilson. So when they pivoted to Fields, they said, we've already got a base that we can work with. We just need to expand this package of plays and, again, tailor it more toward what he's comfortable doing. You ask him to make 2 to 3 deep passes down the field, and he did that the other day, and he did it particularly well. Yeah, I absolutely believe if he plays clean football and he makes those plays down the field and he continues to show what his legs can do, as they say in baseball, speed never goes in a slump, Jay. I truly believe he can hold off Russell Wilson and get the full support, including Mike Tomlin himself.
And that's the man who counts. Let's take a look at some injury concerns heading into week number 2. You mentioned Christian McCaffrey. He's battling that calf injury. He was a late scratch Monday night against the Jets. What are his chances of getting into the lineup against the Vikings on Sunday?
McCaffrey's dealing with what I'm told is some kind of Achilles and calf tendonitis there, so it kind of comes and goes. And I know what Jordan Mason said after his terrific game the other night, that he was told on Friday night that he was going to. That's not the case. I mean, he wasn't told on Friday. In fact, when I was told about 25 minutes before inactives were announced that McCaffrey was going to be inactive, I started making calls left and right. And one of the people I called was Jordan Mason's agent, and he didn't know. So don't you think that if his client knew that he was going to be the starter, that he would have told his agent? So I do believe that what Kyle Shanahan was saying was they told him to be ready, and maybe he mistook the question and said, oh, that's when they started to get me to believe that I was going to play. Anyway, with McCaffrey, it is improving overall, but there's still kind of like that Jets season I was talking about, peaks and valleys. So they don't know how this week is going to go. They do know that they've got a guy in Jordan Mason that they can rely upon if they want to err toward the side of caution again with McCaffrey. Some other injuries to run down. Jordan Love, Packers not putting him on injured reserve, which would knock him out for 4 weeks. So that tells you that they believe he's going to be back within that window. I wouldn't be surprised if he misses, 1 to 2 games. Now, if he misses 2, Malik Willis is going to get his revenge game shot against the Titans, because that's who the Packers face in week 3. Although I do believe that Love will be back from that MCL injury in short order. That's great news for the Packers. Puka Nacua, he's got a PCL. That's the ligament on the back of the knee. PCL injury, he'll be down for 4 weeks, but my understanding is when he's eligible to come back, the hope is that he will be ready, although don't be surprised if they err toward the side of caution a little bit more on this one, considering this is the second time that area of the knee has been affected for him. And then there's the Dolphins running back situation as we head into this Thursday night game on a short week with Achane and Raheem Mostert both dealing with injuries, Achane an ankle, Mostert a chest. Did not practice according to the practice projection that the Dolphins have put out on a short week. And this is definitely one that's at the very least up in the air on both of these guys. So don't be surprised if we're looking at the possibility that the Dolphins will be without their top 2 running backs. The good news is they've got a lot of depth there with Jeff Wilson Jr. and Jay Onrait as well, the rookie that showed that he can do a little bit in that backfield as well. So I think the Dolphins are good there, even if those top 2 guys can't go. Obviously, they'd like to have them go. We'll see if they can get them, Jay.
And the Dolphins will kick off week 2 Thursday night right here on TSN against the Buffalo Bills. Before I let you go, Mike, the talk of week 1 might not have been what was on the field. The talk of week 1 might have been the man in the booth, Tom Brady, and his debut as an NFL broadcaster. As I said on the show yesterday, mixed reviews, I think, would be the way I would describe it. Curious to get your take, Mike Garafolo, your thoughts on Tom Brady's debut in the booth.
He's going to find his voice. He's certainly got the knowledge. It's about how you communicate it to the viewer, and I think he's going to have to work on that and finesse it a little bit more, Jay. But when I think about Brady, I think about his football career. Early in his career, he wasn't that gunslinger type guy. He wasn't the put it on my back type guy. He was more of the, do what you need to do, play clean football, kind of like I was talking about with Justin Fields, and maybe not ask a whole lot of him except when he finally came into his own. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, Tom Brady is the general. He's the guy that's running. So I think that's what you're going to see throughout his broadcasting career. He's going to start out trying to find his feet, trying to find his voice, really, and see if he can develop into the guy where, okay, that is the bastion of analysts in the booth. To me, I still love Chris Collinsworth, who used the word redunculous the other night in his first broadcast on Sunday night. I thought that was phenomenal.
I think he's great, too. You can see Chris Collinsworth every Sunday night right here on TSN Sunday Night Football. And, Mike, we have a viewer named Gerald who watches us every day, and he sends us lots of tweets. And, usually they're all very positive, but he had something to say to me this morning. He said, let's take it easy on Tom Brady. I'd like to see your first broadcast. He'll be fine, just needs time to find his stride. Trust me, he's got unbelievable support from the network, and I agree with you, Gerald. He does have support from the network. Yeah. Remember, Mike, when you and I started together at Fox, we were probably a lot worse than Tom Brady was in his first game on Sunday between Dallas and the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, but you know what? We leaned into it, right? Like we embraced what we are and who we are and what we do, Jay. Boom goes the dynamite. Was that you? No, that may have been somebody else that used that catchphrase.
Yeah, that was me. I wish I could take ownership of that. I would have made a lot of money off that, Mike, over the years, but unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. Listen, this is great. Great chat with you, my friend. All the best in week 2, and we'll talk to you next week.
You got it. Thank you, Jay.